How long do you think is left before the worst happens? This is the question of today's discussion that the Black community is asking. Now, just to take a glance back of what has been recently happening, we all know that DEI programs were rolled back. Companies are no longer hiring based on that. They want to be hiring on merit. So they say, we all know that Section 8 has been affected. Prices of groceries are skyrocketing. And in the midst of all this, we also know that Black people took a vow of silence and would no longer rally behind palm coloreds and other affected communities, such as the immigrants getting deported. Now, they never did this just to show their harsh sides. No, this was a smart and slick move because the Black community did warn palm coloreds and other groups that they shouldn't do what they did. Voting MAGA, and in today's discussion, we get to hear out what they think is next. Stick around if you want to have this discussion with us, and also leave your own thoughts down in the comment section. Let us know what you think about this, and later I'll be reading you some comments from one of the videos I picked up, and also just breaking down what has been happening recently. FAFO season continues.
As someone that has served in the United States military, as someone whose dad has served in the United States military, as someone whose grandfather has served in the United States military, you guys, we don't have that much time to prepare ourselves for what's to come. And I really am looking at the efforts to do the boycotts and things like that. That's great that everyone's coming together, but that's not going to really do that much, because it's going to take a consistent battle. And boycotting your dollars does not matter to these billionaires. It might hurt them, but at the end of the day, it's only going to hurt them for that day. And they're sitting up laughing at us and probably going to make some stickers for their sales coming next week, because they already know and anticipate you coming back to their businesses to shop or to spend your money. Now, what the governor up in Maine is proposing is for the state of Maine to pull back on paying any federal taxes to the government. Now, if every state got on that accord, which we know it's not going to happen, but if every state got on accord and started to withhold federal taxes from the government, that might wake up something. But we don't have the power collectively to hurt these companies. Boycotting Amazon and things like that, they own Whole Foods and all these there's no way. It might hurt, like I said, it might make an impact, but this is not going to be something that is going to be effective. It's going to be like a pinch. It's like, did you at least pinch the bitch? Did you at least pinch the bitch? And not to try to be funny about it, but seriously, you need to be preparing. Do not do anything frivolous with your money right now. You need to be saving. You need to be getting a cash reserve for food. You need to be buying food. You need to be buying ammunition. You need to be buying pew-pews. So you need to get it together. Many of you did not read Project 2025, and everything is going in the playbook, like in order, pretty much. And I do know that by April, a lot of the smart cities are supposed to be coming into play because it was put out there. But I think literally with the changes that they made this week and everything is moving so fast, we literally have 3 to 4 months before everyone starts to feel it. This is not to fearmonger you. This is to prepare you. And like I said, as someone that has served in the military and watching what is occurring right now, we're not ready for what's coming. As a collective, we're not ready.
I wake up every morning. The first thing I do is I check my phone to see if he gone yet. To see if God called him home yet. To see if he entered that upper room yet. That's the first thing I do. Am I the only one? It's not like I'm wishing, but at that age, it happens pretty soon, I'm guessing, right? So I just want to know, how long, Lord? How long, Lord, for this maniac, man? How long do we got? I wish you could give me a sign to tell me how much more life expectancy this could have. Because I'm waking up every morning just to see it's this today. Because we going through a lot of shit. Give me a sign, Lord. Just let me know. What we got? 2, 3 more years this month? 3, 4, 5 more years this month? How long do we got? Am I the only one? I'm not wishing nothing on nobody, but just give me a little hint, Lord. Just to let me know how long we got with this month. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I don't feel bad for thinking this anymore. Not even a little bit. Because there's no such thing as too suspicious. That feeling in my gut is not paranoia. It's a warning. It's history speaking. It's the ancestors whispering, pay attention. They fooled you before. Because every time I see an older white person, I wonder, where were you during the civil rights movement? Were you watching? Were you silent? Or were you in the crowd? The one in those old grainy black and white photos, sneering at a little black girl walking into school, throwing bottles at a protester, cheering when our leaders were shot. Because let's be honest, somebody was holding the rope. Somebody was making the phone calls. Somebody was writing the laws that kept us locked out, shut down, and erased. And those somebodies, they didn't just disappear. Racism didn't die. It aged. It changed clothes, put on a suit, went to work, got promoted. The people who spat at Ruby Bridges, the ones who bombed our churches, who smiled at the camera during lynchings, they grew up. They became teachers, principals, police chiefs, judges, landlords, bank executives, and senators. They wrote policies. They handed out loans. They decided who got hired, who got arrested, who got a second chance, and who never got a first one. And now, when we look at them, when that suspicion rises in our chests, they try to ease it with a smile and that same old tired line. Well, things were just different back then. We know exactly what that means. It means back then, we didn't have to hide. It means back then, we could say it with our whole chest, out loud, in broad daylight, and nothing would happen to us. It means back then, we were comfortable. Because if they had marched, if they had fought, if they stood on the right side of history, we wouldn't have to ask. They'd never let us forget it. But silence? Silence is an answer too. I don't feel bad anymore because I see it. How they kept a grip on power, how they locked Black families out of wealth, how they rewrote the laws, kept the chains, how they passed it all down, the money, the land, the system, the mindset. And now they want us to stop asking, to let it go, to act like it's all in the past. But we don't forget, we can't, because that feeling, that suspicion, that's not paranoia, it's protection. That's the ancestors standing behind us whispering, keep your eyes open. They fooled you before.
I want to say this right now. Today is February 18th, 2025. I've been sitting back watching, doing a lot of research on stuff in my free time, and trust me, I have a lot of free time, guys. We, based off of the food stamp crisis, with them talking about stopping or cutting food stamps, with the rumor about cutting Section 8, after 2 years. And then with all of the federal workers being let go, cut off, fired, laid off, whatever you want to call it. Some of those people they saying they got let go were temporary workers. But how you a temporary worker after 25 years? That's not temporary. We are headed towards one of the worst and biggest recessions that the United States has ever seen. We're already seeing the signs of it, guys. If you don't see the signs of this recession that's coming, you're either blind or you literally don't really care. There's way too many signs. Things that you can do to better protect and prepare yourself. Start buying all kind of dry foods. Stock your pantries up, guys. Stop spending excessive money on BS because I'm telling you, it's coming. I know people are struggling right now to this day, man, but this is tax times. Pay your rent, your mortgage, or whatever you want to call it, way ahead. Because I'm telling you, once it hits, it's going to be ugly. These federal workers getting their jobs cut is just the beginning. This rumor that you keep hearing about the food stamp And the Section 8 thing that keep on resurfacing, pay attention, guys. This stuff is not fake. This is real. Prepare yourself. We are in for one of the biggest recessions that this country has ever seen, and we're going to witness it right here in 2025. When it happens, I want you guys to remember this TikTok video that I did, because I told y'all it was coming. When people warn you and tell you that something's going to happen, don't just look at it and say, okay. Start preparing yourself for it, man. Trust me.
It was never the economy. It was always white supremacy. It was never the price of eggs. It was always a rejection of the browning of America. There is no point in American history where the best logical, financial, or moral decision trumped upholding whiteness. And this past election was no different. So please keep that context in mind when you're watching all these farmers, small business owners, welfare recipients who voted for Trump cry up and down this app talking about they didn't know what they voted for. And I know you've seen that one farmer on here talking about he didn't read Project 2025 or care what people were saying about it because he believed it wasn't Trump's policy. Mind you, there was ample evidence out there that this was Trump's policy, the biggest of which was all his advisors were the authors of Project 2025. The real reason he chose to ignore this is because he had already heard what he needed to hear. He heard that dog whistle that said, this country belongs to you and you only, white man. And everyone who is not a straight white man like you is going to either get deported or punished. And he said, cool. So this is your reminder for the coming days when you see more and more of them whining on this app, begging for empathy. Shit was sweet with them when they were just punishing brown people.
All right, so after we've watched those videos, those are some pretty alarming incidents and things that have been discussed in that video. But I think I just want to say that most problems are an opportunity in disguise, and we shouldn't give up that easily as people all over the world, especially the Black community. I love the Black community. They have taught us resilience. I personally learned resilience from them. I have learned that Black people understand their history and they respect themselves so much as a community. Therefore, I learn from that, and I think the Black community will persevere, and they have not faced such an instance. Like, this is not the first time. It's not like the first time it's happening. But I just want to get one of those videos, especially that one where we saw that uncle that was talking about. He wakes up every morning and just asks whether the person is normal or like what's next. So let me just read you some comments and get to hear out what people think from his video. All right, so the first comment I have for you says, I believe he's headed downstairs. The other one says, well, JD Vance is worse. Then they put a devil emoji. Now the other one says, yes, every day praying another Luigi come along. The other one says, I feel you, but unfortunately, those kind linger. The other one says, he's not going to the upper room though. The other one says, the devil is calling him down, not God. Now, the other one says, God would not be the one who calls for him. So basically, I guess you understand the whole analogy of what's going on here. We're talking about whether the orange man is gonna be called by God or the other guy. So these are the comments responding to that. Now this other comment says, no, because God will not allow him to keep getting away with what he's doing. But I also believe God is giving us a wake up. God hears his children. Now the other one says, I say this every day. So the other person also says this every day. The other one says, 85% of Americans feel you. And that's no cap, I guess, or that's no lie. The other one says, it's no more the devil that will be calling him. All right, so everybody's talking about that. Now let me just read you this last comment that says, that's what I did for 8 years of Obama and 4 years of Biden. Just hang in there, you will be fine. And he responds saying, Obama and Biden did great for we the people, not the rich people. So the man responded and said, Obama kind of like did great, and not really like the way we are seeing the current Uncle Sam right now, because everything is skyrocketing, and he's got a billionaire friend or advisor by his side. They're just cutting down federal funding. Like there's some implications there. We've got families that are going to be failing to pay bills, failing to pay rent, failing to take their children to school. So I just pray that a situation such as these has a solution that is ideal and that is going to help many people. Now let me just read you the recent updates, especially on DEI and what has been happening. But you also leave your own thoughts down in the comments. Let me know what you think about those comments. I read you, and what are your own thoughts concerning this video that black people are sharing on social media? Like, what's your pickup from this? So before I jump into this report, let me just say that DEI programs were not necessarily created for black people. They were created for even palm color women and other minority groups. So it's just sort of unfortunate that other people thought that they were only benefiting black people. So diversity, equity, and inclusion programs were created to help communities that have historically faced obstacles to equal opportunities in the workplace or felt a lack of belonging in majority white corporate settings. So it's just a rule that was created, or a program that was created to help people that were not palm colored. If you get what I mean, like it will just help them feel comfortable working, but not necessarily black people. Now, corporate America has long leveraged the DEI programs to expand its customer base, increase profits, prevent discrimination, lawsuits, and improve employee retention by fostering a more inclusive workplace. So, however, DEI programs implemented by federal agencies and corporations are now facing backlash from the president himself and his conservative allies, who argue diversity hiring practices disregard merit. Okay, so I kind of like understand this perspective presented, right? Because they are talking that they want to be hiring from merit. But merit, if it's only merit and not necessarily hiring based on DI, it would make sense in a landscape or a setting where articism wasn't there, if you know what I'm saying. Because this would make sense in an environment where there was only perhaps a regard for all races as one race. Because if you still have people with the mentality of saying, my race is more superior than the other, my race is justifiable with their actions, then such, a cause wouldn't do much. Because people are still going to be regarding their own race, even when you are rolling back on those issues and programs that helped minority races as well. So I just hope that this does work out and that rolling back on this DEI doesn't affect or escalate things further. But what do you think, though, with everything that's going on? Now, palm color women have been one of the biggest beneficiaries of diversity programs in the workplace, experts on DEI said. So I think we've broke down this video several times on our channel, talking about how palm color women also did benefit a lot from DEI programs. Like some of the federal employees that have been fired are actually palm color women, and we've seen them making TikToks talking about how that much hurts them, because they were independent and now they can no longer be regarded as independent. So you would think that voting back MAGA would mean that black people would suffer the most, but this is kind of like affecting most people. But I love this perspective that the black community has raised, because they are talking about what's really next for them as a community, as a people, as a group. Because something like this is just giving suspicion, if you get what I mean. And this is the reason why I guess this question was raised. Because nothing really ever happens in the land of the free on just a dice, like somebody rolls dice and they're guessing that, oh, this is gonna happen because we guessed this. No, everything that happens in the land of the free is planned, and it's implemented and executed according to the agenda. It doesn't just happen like that. But what do you think about this video, though? Do you think black people should be concerned, or what's your own take? Leave your own thoughts down in the comment section, and I'll see you next time.